those definitely real Discord comments. They have a point. I mean, let's look at our current grand campaign. It's 1759, and Prussia is barely a great power. I mean, look at this. They're not even a hegemon. They haven't even taken over Germany. This cannot stand. I mean, how can a country that's meant to do so well historically be so bad in EU4? It's time to make a small, very small adjustment mod that slightly readjusts the balance of the game to make Prussia just that tiny bit more powerful. Now, it will unfortunately get rid of Iron Man because it will slightly change the checksum, but it should have no major changes, and it should just have the little buffs that Prussia needs to exceed and be historically accurate of the great power that it truly was. So here we are then, in a brand new game as Brandenburg. Perfect tag to form the new Prussian balanced tag. So first things first, let's take a look at our decisions. And oh, what's here? We seem to have a new decision. It seems we can subscribe to Lemon Cake. Now what does this do? It seems that subscribing to Lemon Cake substantially improves your prestige and gives you loads of free land. You should try it. Why? I mean, the decision says I should try it, so let's go for it. And wow, it actually worked. We got loads of free land. And 100 prestige. This is amazing. Unfortunately, we're a bit overforced on it, and a bit of a naval force, so we probably can't afford a couple of these forts. So let me just quickly fix that real quick. Also should probably statify this land. Otherwise, yes, can't believe that new decision worked. We are gonna have to delete all this army. Actually, we just can't afford it. Let's just. That's better, and these boats just gonna have to go. Well, it seems that even though we need to form Prussia, I don't think we need to conquer any more land. Yep, we just need Admin Tech 10. We need to go Protestant. So with that out of the way, let's speed 5, sit back, and set up the normal country. And I will see you all on the other side. And there we are. We can now take Admin Tech 10. And with Admin Tech 10 secured, we can get another idea group, but most importantly, we can form Prussia. Now the first things we realized when we form Prussia, of course we would want new traditions, is we gain some cores. we get a couple cores on some German provinces. this is mostly done for balance purposes. I think it allows Prussia to get that really necessary early head start that they just don't get, and it really allows them to consolidate the Germany area. Really just a very necessary balance change. Another thing we will notice, so if we look at our government ideas, is that there's been a slight buff to the Prussian monarchy. Before we get to the buffs, there's been some historical adjustments. Now, the first thing you'll see there is the national unrest. We get is actually minus 100. Now, there's this historical inaccuracy that people revolted against Prussia. I had a couple of those, as you saw there. This is just not true. This doesn't actually happen. And to accurately portray this mechanic in the game, Prussia now gets minus 100 national unrest. Now, another inaccurate mechanic people had in the game is that the Prussian monarchs don't only get +3 to their monarch military skill. And as we can see in this more corrected version, they get a +6 to everything. Now, what would happen is even with that +3 monarch military skill, you could still get like a 003. You could get any ruler that was not a 666, which is just historically inaccurate. Prussia just had the best rulers, which is why we now have a more historical adjustment, giving Prussia rulers they truly had in history to just reflect these historical changes. Another thing as well is, and this is the balance part now, is the governing capacity really hindered this country. It really weakened them, and that's why we had to give them 9,000 governing capacity to just make up for it. Now, some of you may be asking, why not more than 9,000? And it's quite simple. If it was over 9,000, it would just be unbalanced. So we're just going to stick with 9,000 governing capacity, and that'll be fine. So, for example, look at our stability and expansion tab. We can see that, we should be fine on governing capacity. But it's fine. We will use this governing capacity up, especially as soon as we take all of our cores back. Now, another thing that people are complaining about when it came to Prussian ideas, especially, is how weak they were compared to a lot of other normal idea groups. So there's been a couple balance changes to those. So if you look, Prussia actually had the best army tradition in the world, and this was not accurately reflected in their opening ambition. So they actually get +5 yearly army tradition to reflect that. Also, Prussia historically just annexed a lot of people, and no one cared. And to accurately historically portray this, they just get minus 100% aggressive expansion impact because, well, they really need it in the HRE, and I think it was just historically inaccurate how slow Prussia expanded in these games. Now, the next thing we see is the legacy of the Teutonic Knights. And this is more of a balance thing, but it turns out Prussia has to actually pay monarch points to stab up. And this isn't really a good thing. So to fix that, we've given them a bit of a stab cost reduction, so that Prussia can always be at a 3 stab, which is where it should be. Another thing as well is Prussia was the most tolerant society. They tolerated the true faith so goddamn hard, which is why they get a +10 tolerance to the true faith. Now, the Soldier King of Prussia was a really underwhelming modifier, because once you got that to 100% army tradition, which you should rightfully have as Prussia, it will start to decay. And that's not really balanced, so we just got rid of that. It just doesn't decay. It's a lot better now. And a lot of people were saying is that Prussian morale, that 20% they got, was really good. It was on par with France, but it was really underwhelming compared to the historical strength of the Prussian armies. And to really buff this country up to be more competitive in the current multiplayer scene, I think it is important to slightly increase the morale of armies they're getting. Next, we had another. This is another historical issue. You can see how much of the balancing of this country fails because of bad history, and that is that the Junkers aren't always loyal. And with this fixed, the Junkers will always be loyal. Moving on as well, Prussia had the best infantry, and this was reflected with a pretty small 20% infantry combat ability buff, or whatever it was, and really insignificant. So to make it more on par with artillery, I've had to really slightly adjust the infantry combat ability to be more reflective of Prussia and really make it able to compete with other countries. Now, another thing with Prussia is that it kind of struggled to get manpower, and this really weakened it compared to fighting Russia, say, in multiplayer games. So I've slightly adjusted the manpower gain that Prussia will get. And also, it turns out Prussia has this weird bug where they have to spend time to recruit their troops. Now, this is definitely an unintentional feature of the game. Prussia does not need to spend time to recruit troops. If Prussia they just want a unit, and it's just going to be there in 0 days. Of course, the Mass League hasn't happened, but yeah. So we've slightly decreased the recruitment time to more accurately portray how long it should take Prussia to get their armies. Now, the last change, it is the balance feature, and namely that Prussia really lacked the dev cost reduction they had in their ideas to compete with more modern tags. So we've updated this to more reflect the dev cost Prussia should have, so they can compete with the likes of Genoa with their ridiculous dev cost reductions. And the other thing as well with religious tolerance is that it is, after all, 2021. We have to tolerate everyone here, which is why we reflect this in their new ideas, just giving them a bit more tolerance of the faith. Now, one thing that people also tend to complain with Prussia is they just don't really tend to get enough discipline. And to just balance this off, Prussia does get 50% discipline. Now, this is just a small minor adjustment to the Prussian combat ability once they finish their idea group off. And it just more accurately reflects Prussian combat capabilities, and it's just better for the game balance so that Prussia isn't left behind against countries that historically get a lot of discipline, like the likes of France with their insane discipline finishers, and Austria, who get 3%. I mean, it's really insane. We have this is a necessary change just to preserve the game balance. But yeah, there it is. This is the full overlook of the mod that updates the Prussian game mechanics.